And we'll go back over to Facebook. I left my mic. I might turn the mic off. All right, good Sunday morning. I'm meteorologist Byron Douglas. We're with you here on our streaming platform. Here's a look at the alert day. I'm going to grab this full here pretty quickly. Let's do that now. There's a look at the alert day. Encompasses generally areas here this afternoon and then for tonight as we go through that time frame. Includes generally all of the threats, tornado threat. I think there's an opportunity the tornado threat could be done by 9 p.m., but we're going to look because I just was showing some folk stuff off camera with respect to that. And look at this. We have a vigorous system. We're going to take a live look up into Michigan in a moment. Up in the UP, we have a sister station there. You got blizzard warnings down into winter storm warnings down into the Quad Cities in those areas there in pink and red where they can see 5, 8, 10 inches of snow. So even some advisories in some of those locations. So a very dynamic system. And there's a look at that wind threat. And hopefully, I'm going to show you, let's go over here and click. Let's go over to OTT1. I don't have my glasses on. Well, I'll have to put those on. Let's see, and let's do that now. There's a look at the snow component. That's snow up in the UP, and I'm going to go ahead and take that full. There we go. So that's what's going on. I'm going to push the button back in here. Some snow as you go up into the UP, up in those locations, and that's where that snow has developed. You can see these snow showers up in the UP there, and it's cutting into visibility. Now we have the potential to see a couple of inches of snow. I'll set this back here. But otherwise, it's primarily just going to be that chance for thunderstorms. Okay, let's go back over, and I'll put myself back up on camera. I wanted to show you, there's a look at the wind advisory during that stretch. So we do have the wind advisory, and the wind advisory is going to be in effect. It takes hold at 10 o'clock this morning, and during that stretch, it's going to run until 4 p.m. So there's a look at the wind advisory. I'll just kind of orient this. It's probably not the prettiest TV. I'm kind of multitasking here, but there's the latest. All right, as far as the wind, we talked about this yesterday. More than likely, we'd see a wind advisory, and the high wind warnings are out to our west. What does this mean? These are before the thunderstorms even fire. The gradient winds, sometimes they can prompt some power outages. So this is the gradient winds that we're looking at. And the criteria for a wind advisory is about 40. The level 3 threat has pretty much been maintained now. This is 3 days. That made a lot of changes to it. It encompasses all of our cities and towns that we're responsible for covering across our area. So there's a look there at the, I'm going to move this chair out of the way. But it's a level 3 threat, the enhanced risk for severe thunderstorms. And we do have the tornado threat. These areas that are, I tried to take some of the opacity out of the black lines there. Looks like our area here is in jail. A little higher tornado threat down through Clay up to about Dixon, and then down through Providence, western stretches there of Madisonville, catching about Nebo, Beulah in those locations. So a little higher end probability of an EF2 tornado or greater. I don't think there'll be long-lived tornadoes because the system's moving so quickly. But you can't rule out that tornado threat and this hatched-in wind threat, about even chances for catching winds. Severe thunderstorm warning, the criteria is winds at 58. But this could be a high-end warning where we go 70 to 75, an isolated gust up to 80 miles an hour. So the key is the wind. You know, EF0 tornadoes winds about 80 to 85. Well, with thunderstorm winds, you can get them at 80 to 85. So at that point, it can still produce some damage. We have some warnings of the day. They're north and west of Mount Vernon, Illinois. I kind of delayed a little too much lightning there, but there's a yellow polygon. That's a severe thunderstorm warning. So that's the first warning that I've seen so far today, and then we'll have additional watches and warnings. And then I just showed you that snow. That snow was up there in the UP that I showed you there earlier from that vantage point. We'll run down our temperatures. Our temperature is not a huge concern. They're just very mild right now. And then those winds will start to ramp up. And the cloud guidance is, there's not a lot of instability, but how much sun we're going to register helps fuel the updrafts. So we're kind of locked in. We have some clouds out there right now. We want to keep them thick throughout the day, but we are going to punch in some sunshine. Kind of that bullseye time would be 6, 7, 10 o'clock. I'll take this full because I'm standing in the way as we go through the day. And then we'll get to the timeline. Windy, showers and storms, generally after 4 or 5 p.m. for that stretch. And then tonight, we go from 74 to 29. We don't want to do a lot of math here on Sunday morning, but we'll call that a temperature cascade. And then tomorrow, temperatures don't modify. It's sharply colder, some snow early, and then you can see some accumulation on some of the grassy surfaces. Here we go. Now, this is the modeling that's showing the HRRR model that's probably the best possible outcome for us. So we'll grab this. So this takes us to 6, 7 o'clock. There's not a lot out in front of it, but it does develop into a squall line 7, 8, 9, 10 p.m. where the leading edge is where we'd have the greatest dynamics for severe thunderstorms during that stretch, where we had warnings along the line and then any kinks could prompt. And I want to emphasize a rain-wrapped tornado. They'll be difficult to see. They're going to be wrapped in rain. Even the tornadoes in Oklahoma, where they've had drought conditions, a lot of times they're not wrapped. They've been wrapped in rain. They're very difficult to see. It can catch you off guard. Because the storms generally are front-loaded, it will be difficult to see. Now here's the model I was most concerned about, the graph model. When we talked to Jeff, myself, and Michael, showing 2 lines. We're going to watch for these storms that flare at 5 o'clock out in front of the main line. And I think leading into the event, we'd at least have a severe thunderstorm watch at that time frame, perhaps even a tornado watch. But this is the one that's showing perhaps 2 lines. And then it morphs into a squall line, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, where the leading edge along the gust front, that's where we're going to have a lot of our warnings, where it's the worst case first. But with the supercell, you could even have some spin-up tornadoes along the gust front. They're usually weaker in nature, but if we get a supercell going, and again, with these fast-moving squall lines, that's where you can see a tornado or 2. Then it kicks out. I think by 9 o'clock, the dew points in the upper fields come down just a bit. We can get to 9 o'clock, I think the tornado threat would ease at that time. Maybe some of the eastern counties going a little bit longer than that. So that's shortened our timeline. 4 or 5 o'clock till 9, I think, would be the worst time frame for severe weather. And if you catch a warning, I think it'll affect you for about 30 or 45 minutes, and then you're done. And hopefully nobody sees any damage. Here's the GFS. It has that low up over Lake Michigan about 6 p.m. That's about where and then you have winds going every which way. And showing that wind shear, and then on the back side you have that snow potential where we could see some light accumulations up to 1/3 of an inch. I'm using the NAM, and the NAM loves snow, so it usually is at the high end of our snow guidance. But 1/3, I call it a dusting deluxe. I'd have to watch for a few slick spots early tomorrow, but then we're going to be cold for a couple days, and that's it. So when I was working outdoors, I see some hoses that are connected out there. Just disconnect those, because by Tuesday morning, temps are going to drop into the teens. I'll show you. So down to 17 on Tuesday morning, upper 20s on Monday morning, 29 Wednesday morning. I'm reading the bottom portion of your screen there. 56 as we go into Wednesday. And then look at temperatures. Severe weather will not be a factor based on what we're looking at next week, 72 on Friday. So it almost looks like a week you would experience with some nice weather in late April, in early May. Some folks are on. Let me just see who's on here. Yep, got a few folks on. And I'm going to just go over and show you the top graphic again. Come on, Byron. All right, let's go over to, I'm going to click a few buttons off here. And we'll just go to the top one, see what pops up. So here's our graphic. I'm going to just leave this up full. Our alert day begins generally this afternoon. The best setup for thunderstorms 5 p.m. until 9. I think that's our best setup for severe thunderstorms. The Storm Prediction Center, we've had some questions. Will we go to a level 4 threat? I think there will be areas within the level 3 threat will be upgraded. Not exactly sure. I think a little better setup across western Kentucky points to our south and west. We'll see how it plays out. So that's the latest at this hour. We have more going on our 14 First Alert weather app. We're going to go through more throughout the day. Michael Fecka is going to have more coming in here. I continue to take this full. Coming in here at 2:30. So we're going to be covered throughout the day. And of course, it's our commitment to you. We go wall to wall if we have a tornado warning, even in our least populous county, which would be Edwards County, Illinois. It's same for you as Vanderburgh. So that's our commitment to you. And if we have severe thunderstorms that are producing damage, our commitment is to stay with you through the event. So just a few things going on behind the scenes. We will have more soon. Have a fantastic Sunday. Wind advisory, the next thing that kicks in at 10 this morning.